Good afternoon, everybody, and a good day, good evening, probably even a good morning to others who are joining from different parts of the world. I am Prateek Shah, welcoming you here today for the panel discussion on how to outsource digital marketing services. I think your screen right now is too full of too many faces and just maybe, so we'll just sort that out. We have today with us two distinguished gentlemen from the digital marketing space. On my left, perhaps depending on how you're looking at the screen,
on top.
is Mr. Manuj Bajaj on top. On top and left is Mr. Manuj Bajaj, who's been part of the digital marketing industry for many years. He's authored several books, and he's been associated with Microsoft for their trainings, Digital Vidya for their trainings, and just so much more that he's been doing. So comes with a lot of rich experience, and he'll be sharing a lot of that with us today. And on the other side, I have Himanshu Arora, the dashing young boy from Bangalore who migrated to Bangalore from Delhi. He's heading this agency called Social Panga, and so you better not take any Panga with him, otherwise he'll, screw up your ORM on the internet. And Himanshu again is a digital marketing trainer and is also associated with Google for that matter, so he conducts workshops for Google and other people. And me, of course. So whenever we are doing a digital marketing event, we should never forget to market ourselves. So hi guys, I'm Prateek Shah. I'm a digital marketing trainer and consultant. Like Himanshu, I'm also a Google India trainer. And coincidentally, we all also happen to be associated with Digital Vidya, and we lead one or the other workshops for Digital Vidya, right? So as we go on and as we discuss further, we'll keep getting to know more about these gentlemen, and we'll keep sharing our insights and other things. So what are we actually here for today? We are here to understand what are the best practices when it comes to outsourcing digital marketing services. What are the things that we should keep in mind when we are trying to go for an external consultant, agency, freelancer, any of those routes, any of those methods in trying to help them do our social media or digital marketing activities. So it's going to be largely an open discussion, and while I'll be leading some of the questions, I would keep inviting you to post your questions. I see a lot of raised hands, I see a lot of questions, so I'll quickly go through them. If I find something interesting enough to begin with, I'll probably do that, or I also have some at my end. So hey everybody, and I see a lot of people who we probably know from before, and that's great to know. Just so that you remember, this will be a go-to webinar and not a go-to meeting. So the ones who are in general used to using the go-to meeting chat feature, you'll not be able to see what other people are typing. So without further ado, let's actually get started with the Q&A, with the discussion. And my first and most important question to both these gentlemen is that why essentially should a company outsource? It's not a good idea to just do things in-house, probably hire a designer, hire a coder, hire an executioner, and one manager to handle them all. Is that not enough, or do we really need to outsource? So probably Manuj sir, if you could take the lead and tell us about it, that will be great.
Yeah. So here is what I have to share as my perspective. There can be many reasons why a company should outsource. Perhaps the most important and most common reason why companies outsource is lowering the operational and labor costs. And companies may not have proper technical know-how of the things. That means skills can be another issue. And that is another big reason why companies outsource. Now, at the same time, there can be other ways in which companies or scenarios in which companies would like to just stay focused onto their core operations, core expertise. And then in that case, instead of hiring more people with different expertise and skills and increasing their costs and increasing the burden of decision taking where their specialization does not exist, that is another case where companies might just like to outsource to people who are experts or specialized into that. And then there can be yet another way that companies might just want to free up their bandwidth and maybe outsource the functions or some repetitive tasks or mundane tasks to other people, other agencies, other freelancers, in order to free up their own bandwidth and then put those resources into much better, much more beneficial and profitable tasks. So that's like more of the reasons that I think the company should outsource.
Absolutely. And Himanshu, on the same lines, I'd also like to check with you. Increasingly we are seeing more and more companies also investing in their in-house teams now that they see digital marketing becoming a very integral function of their entire working. So how do you think about that shift? Do you think that still enough and more companies want to outsource or are willing to outsource?
So Prateek, taking what Manuj just mentioned right now, there are basically three reasons which I categorically see why companies end up outsourcing to a digital marketing function to an agency. Like first and foremost thing which I see is this: like if you have an in-house team, the in-house team is a set of people who work more like in a silos, where they only have an understanding about their own business. Like supposedly it's an education-based business. They only know about education-based business. They don't have an understanding what other players doing in the market, more competitors, what in different industries. So I see a lot of creativity get curbed when you have an in-house team. Okay. And at the same time, if it's outsourced to an agency, you can shift gears accordingly. Like if an agency is not performing well, you have a freedom, a free hand in terms of moving to a new agency or new person within an agency to make sure the creative juices always flow. So that's one thing. And second, as Manuj rightly mentioned, there's a lot of overhead which is involved because digital marketing as a function is not a one-man driven function, as a matter of fact. It has a creative guy, it has a graphic guy. You have to have an expertise of specific platform, whether it's social, in search you have optimization, organic, SEM, Twitter, Instagram. So it's a team effort. And if it's a team effort of multiple resources or multiple people. So if the agencies have that, it's a win-win situation for both, because agencies have multiple clients working for the specific resource, and at the same time, the cost for a client goes down because they need not to pay for the whole resource for a month, right? You only need to pay 25% of the full cost for the resource, because rest is taken by the other clients altogether. So from an operations point of view, it does make a lot of sense.
Sounds interesting. So at one level, we are probably saying that it's also like a hire and fire model, that whenever I want, I can hire an agency, I can fire them, and probably that's also affecting the agencies at one level, because they're always under scrutiny, they're always under fire, they're always under pressure to kind of perform. Interesting. Very interesting observations, both of you.
What we say here is hire slow but fire fast.
Right. And I think increasingly there has always been this, with agencies and corporates, even though they both have to work symbiotically. But overall, we all know that there are so many instances where corporates can also probably take advantage of agencies, whereas at the same time, there are a lot of agencies which are not up to the mark, yet they take up some projects and are not able to perform. So, which is something which we'd like to also understand in terms of, should everything be outsourced? Because digital marketing is vast now. Digital marketing, there is social, there is SEM, there is SEO, probably now mobile marketing, and even functions like blogging. So do you think all these functions should be outsourced, Himanshu, or how should we go about it basically?
Okay, so Prateek, a very, very valid question in terms of how to go about this. So as a matter of fact, I was speaking to one of the clients today morning itself. So what I see is this, you have two setups, you have a client, you have an agency. But I always see that there's an intermediate guy who understands how an agency works and how a client works. Okay, because the moment agency is not part of the client in terms of a day-to-day function, I see a lot of gap happening there. So what I always suggest is that whenever we start working with any client, we ask them who is a single point of contact. Okay, and why this is important? Because the single point of contact can figure out that these specific functions can be outsourced and this specific function need to be in-house. Okay, and that depends upon a capability of this intermediate person, because I believe if the person is handling both agency and the client, there's a good match between what the client is expecting and what agency is delivering. I'll give you a small example, like take an example of a graphic or a blogging. Okay, so a graphic guy will always try to be as creative as possible, but the creative which is delivering may not be in sync what the client is looking for. So the guy, the point of contact, the intermediate guy can clearly highlight that, hey, I understand you're coming from, this thing need to be categorically improved upon. And specifically for the blogging too. So the blogger who's writing the content will always be driven to write as good content as possible. You need to have a guy, a middleman who understands this is a business, let's focus on this specific area. And to categorically answer your question, which function need to be outsourced, it's a very, very, a subjective matter, depends from client to client, industry to industry. But please go ahead.
Sure. So, Manuj sir, within this, it also brings us to the point of that, does a company really know what to outsource? Do they really have it sorted out? What all functions should they outsource or not outsource?
Yes, that's a brilliant question. And most companies are actually new and caught up with this digital marketing scenario without fully understanding the scenario, the way it functions. The digital marketing has been almost about 150, 200 years old, but in case of digital, it's hardly 10 years old, or maybe even lesser, even younger. So since it is in its nascence, it is becoming more of a challenge that what exactly are the things, requirements which are actually required to fulfill a certain marketing strategy. And more on top of that, even companies get caught up in a situations that what are the right strategies, what are the right channels to be able to use to reach their target audience and reach their business objectives.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, most of the companies may not sometimes, or largely, a lot of companies may not sometimes be able to correlate their business objectives with marketing as well. They would actually come up with very vast or very generic terms, but the KPIs might just be missing, which can be measurable and achievable. That's the kind of challenge that we've been seeing with major companies. So again, although it's a marketing function, it's a core function, marketing and sales have to be kept in-house, but with digital marketing, sometimes the equation has to be changed because you need some external expertise to be able to figure out, to be able to assign and set goals, to be able to figure out the right KPIs, that what would a certain KPI lead to, whether it is measurable, and secondly, how do you measure that? Even the expertise to be able to measure this may not exist in-house. I work with many companies, starting from small companies, medium-level companies, upper middle-level companies, and even up to like really large corporate enterprises. I sometimes see that there are lots of gaps which I have identified and, of course, helped those people in figuring out what those gaps are and how to fulfill. So essentially what I see, pretty much anything and everything can be outsourced, but I would really be happy if people can strategize the stuff in-house, because strategy is something which is core to your business, because you are the person who is closest to your business. You are the person who understands your business like nobody else does. So if you are actually able to strategize, if you are able to build a strategy in-house, then probably much of the rest of the functions can be outsourced. And if you need help in strategizing your moves, strategizing your marketing, then you can, of course, take help of consultants and other people who are good at it and who can work on your behalf from your side rather than offering and trying to sell you something.
Sounds fair.
Yes. So that's what I've been seeing. That is what I've been facing, because most companies can get in connecting with the agencies where they have something to sell. At the same time, without knowing the exact nature of the business the client is into, without understanding the target audience that the client is trying to connect with. So sometimes agencies might just try to sell whatever they have, maybe just the
that happens a lot of times.
Just the social media, which may or may not be essentially required for this particular company to achieve their business and marketing objectives. So I generally see, if you include strategy as well, it is one sort of outsourcing where you are actually hiring a consultant or somebody who is actually working from your side of the table on your behalf and taking care of your business goals and objectives. Then comes content creation. That is another biggest challenge. Then comes content design. Content design can also be easily outsourced. And then digital strategy implementation. So once the strategies are in place, once the goals and objectives are in place, pretty much everything can be sorted out. That's what my
absolutely.
Technical work is probably the easiest because building up your website, setting up the measurement infrastructure, defining the KPI, everything. Setting up, configuring, and integrating it, and all the stuff can pretty much be outsourced. Right. I think that's my understanding.
And Himanshu, also the fact of, a Google and a Facebook also offer me to directly advertise with them. I can directly call up Google and probably they'll help me with an executive. So what is the use of an agency there? Or for all kinds of companies, big to small, is it required or not required to have an agency as the interface between you and let's say a seller like Google or a publisher like Facebook? I'm sorry.
So,
Yeah,
Prateek,
yeah.
if
Now
you
I can hear
approach
you.
a Google or yeah. Okay. So, Prateek, if you approach any of those social media company, Facebook or Google, as a matter of fact, there is a limit on which these guys can help you. Okay.
Right.
A. B. If you approach Google, they will give solution which is very specific to the platform, that is Google AdWords, or they will give a solution which is very specific to the platform Facebook. And at the same time, and they will obviously try to
Right.
upsell their own
Right.
platform as compared to give a
Sure.
holistic picture where you have Instagrams, you have Twitters, you have LinkedIn, you have
Sure.
so many of things which
Sure.
we generally miss out. That is A. B, whenever we're advertising, a lot of other things also play a very, very important role. That what
Right.
are we trying to communicate to the user? Okay, what is our communication? What is our value proposition? Okay, obviously Facebook or Google cannot help you on that. They can only help you
Right.
understand,
Makes sense.
yeah, understand the platform, nothing else. And what kind of communication, what content need to go, what design need to go, how need to respond to what's your target audience, how to segment it, so many things which goes in terms of running a campaign, which I generally don't see any of those specific executives can help you with.
Right. Right. And as we answer this, let us remember we are all Google and Microsoft trainers. Yeah?
Correct. But we generally don't push our product as such, right?
Yeah. So, which also brings me to the point of, there are SMEs, there are startups, there are large corporations. At which stage in a company or a company's operations should they actually outsource, Himanshu? What do you think? When should I look at outsourcing? When my company is grown to a certain extent, or what do you think?
Okay, so Pratik, a very valid question, because I think this question I encounter almost every day, that when is a good time to outsource. So if look at from, let's look at the full cycle of a company. If you're a startup, you want to outsource your digital function because you want to concentrate at that moment of time on your core business. Okay, it could be
Right.
any of the business, right? You don't,
Right.
because the team is, your bandwidth of the team is very, very limited. Okay, 10,
Right.
12, 15, whatever it is. So you at that time want to just focus on the product or your services, which gives you a revenue, which is a revenue stream for you. Okay,
Sounds fair.
as you go from a startup to a middle level, you obviously, your function widens. So that time what happens is that you have a couple of in-house marketing folks, but at the same time you want to outsource a digital function so that you can have an understanding of other platforms too. Because I've seen a lot of times companies specifically working on the platform which the in-house guys have a comfortable with. So if a guy is more comfortable with Google AdWords, he will neglect Facebook. If it's Facebook, if he neglects search. So it's always make a lot of sense that you have a good combination of an in-house team and an outsourced team. And when you become a big corporate, the scale is huge. The scale is huge. And obviously you need to switch between different functions, different campaigns. I'll give you a small example of working with bigger bank in last couple of months. So they have an in-house team which take care of specific campaigns, and they have an outsourced agency who take care of specific other campaigns. So it's
Right.
like a mutual effort in terms of digital outsource. So what I'm trying to
Sure.
say that at different cycles of your company and different stages of your company, the way
Right.
digital outsourcing happens differs. But yeah, from scratch till the end, you can always outsource your digital function.
Sounds interesting. Manuj, any thoughts?
Yes. So there are certain, I mean, I also keep getting this question, and Himanshu has taken this topic very fantastically. There are a couple of things that I come across. So I generally take a look at their own performance. If the digital marketing strategy is not changing year to year, that means there is something not working for them, or they don't realize that markets change, the technologies change, the consumer behavior changes. So if you are not going after the newer options, newer possibilities that exist, as Himanshu has correctly pointed out, if people are focused on Facebook, they may not understand what is Twitter, what is possible in Twitter. And recently, like just a few days ago, Twitter has opened up their arms for 200 countries and for putting up those possibilities. That's the most recent development. Now, if you're not aware of what is happening, then your strategies might not be changing. You'll be getting stuck with whatever you started earlier. And I have seen, I mean, it's
Yes.
not a theoretical concept. I've seen companies, big companies with huge budgets, continuing with their Google AdWord campaigns, which were working in like 2013, and still continuing with the same campaigns. And the idea of digital marketing was that turning on the campaigns and turning off the campaigns. That was their idea of when they are digitally active and when they're not.
Right.
So they're not focused on other activities like what Facebook can do, irrespective of whether it is B2C, B2B, irrespective of whether it is a small company, medium-sized company, large company, or even a Fortune 500 or a 50 company. Same ways, other thing that I have seen is that if you are actually spending dollar and if you're not seeing what is happening with your marketing spend, you're not able to understand
absolutely.
what is the return on your spend, then it's a really, really sad situation to be in. That means you don't know how to accurately measure your success or your failures or short. Correct. In that case, again, you have to be very clear that if you're not able to do that, time to outsource immediately. Then there are certain other things, like Himanshu absolutely correctly pointed out, I fully align with that, that if you're focused on to one single channel or maybe a couple of channels and you're not focusing on other channels, that means you have to explore what else is possible, what else can be done. Then same ways, content. If your content is getting stale, if your content is not coming in time regularly, you're not putting up fresh content, time to outsource, because you may not have the strategy, you may not have the content writing skills, you may not have maybe what you call content marketing strategy in place. Okay, so in that case, all these functions require a certain level of specialization and expertise and experience to be able to do correctly. In that case, again, if you're not doing it, again, time to outsource, time to hire some experts. And then, good, if everything is being done right, you do not have the execution capability. If you are getting the right strategies built, but you're not able to execute them correctly or to the fullest, then again, you can do a lot in Facebook. You can do a lot, huge things into SEM, maybe AdWords alone. You can do a whole lot of things into SEO. You can do a whole lot of things into Twitter. But if you're not actually implementing the strategies, if you're not actually getting the maximum juice out of the platform, out of the execution that you're doing in-house, maybe again, you have to start thinking of
Absolutely.
So actionable points, you have certain actionable insights that will drive the decision. Again, it's like data-driven decisions or circumstance. And the time and the specific reasons may be different for different organizations. For example, a smaller organization must ideally start immediately for outsourcing, but they don't have the resources to be able to do it. Okay, a large organization may have a lot of resources. There will not be a resource crunch, but they might not be able to arrive at a decision that whether they should outsource this or not, or they may not be aware that it is possible. So there are a lot of factors that have to be considered before you arrive at these, but I've shared some of them which will help people take a decision, take a call.
I'm sure they will. And in fact, I was also conducting a training recently in Mumbai, and what one of the marketing managers said is that, when we invest in digital, for us it's just, just some small percentage of our entire advertising budget. And therefore, I think brands are also not focusing that sharply on the prospect of what is the ROI I am generating out of that spend. So if I'm spending a rupee on a Google ad or I'm spending 10 rupees on a click on Google, I'm actually even measuring, because let's be honest and fair, nobody has been in the business of measuring marketing for a long time. But ever since digital has come in, everybody wants to just measure everything. And which kind of, changes everything. Yeah, Manuj.
Prateek, so as a matter of fact, last week I was also in Mumbai and again taking a workshop for a bit, that. So same thing happened with me. So what they mentioned is that being part of a digital team has sometimes become a big challenge for me, because as you rightly mentioned, everything can be measured. So,
so you need to show results.
You have to show results. In traditional, you
can get away.
Yes.
You can, indirectly you can get away with a newspaper ad which nobody might have read.
Correct.
But
like, hey, the spike
gets to
is,
know.
Correct. The spike is because of the newspaper ad, traditional ad, but here it has to be clearly measured.
Absolutely.
There's always a gray area there.
Yeah, it's becoming more black actually. The more miserable it gets, the tougher it is going to become for marketers. So marketers are facing a tough time in that.
How is your marketing budget and marketing activities and strategies surviving for the last 150 years? So it's largely claim and perception based, you can say,
right. Right.
Agencies or media buying agencies would always either claim or create a perception that this sale
Yes.
or the increase in sales has resulted
It was
because of this, which may or may not be true.
From
I always
perception, it's
say,
gone to calculation. Yeah.
correct. So, and as
So
a
there
matter
were
of fact,
all sorts of complex models to prove the fact that it is because of them. Whereas in digital, it is quite easy. Sorry, Himanshu,
Right.
please.
Yeah.
okay. No, so I always say this, that digital marketing, or rather as any marketing, is like a dal roti. You give time for 6, 7 months in a year. It's not like a fast food, you go grab and go away. So like we are working with the clients for like 6 years and 1 year, and we clearly see a spike in terms of whatever the objective could be. Website
Slowly it
traffic,
rises.
slowly. And what people think is that, hey, I did a digital marketing activity for 3 months, I didn't get a result. But even a baby takes a 9 months to come out, right? So at least it's a brand.
Absolutely.
At least give a 9 to 1 year to survive.
Absolutely. As they say, overnight success takes a lot of months and years
Correct.
actually to happen. And the part of measurement reminds me a quote which one of our fellow friends and trainers, Rajiv Pandey, recently mentioned. He said that analytics are actually the kundli of an organization. They tell you what has been happening with the company, and they also show you where it is headed. So I think the whole part of measurement comes in right there when we talk about this. By the way, guys, you can also keep tweeting with hashtag DVChat if you feel like, or hashtag DVCHAT. So quick 30-second 2-pointers from both of you. Critical factors, Manuj, to keep in mind while outsourcing. If you could give me probably 4 pointers, quick 4 pointers. Because
so first thing is capability of the freelancer or the agency that you're doing.
Sure.
Past results.
Right.
Third is if they are capable enough of delivering what they have, because as I said, there may be lots of components in digital marketing, whether that agency that you're talking to is capable of delivering all sorts of deliverables that you're asking for. Fourth is probably legal, and you can say legal side of the things, that they don't do something which is hurting the you can say interest of the company. And I think most of the things are like these. I mean, the past results and the capability and skill set are the two prime things, and also the most difficult to judge as well. So maybe we will start with the pilot project and then move on to the bigger projects.
Sounds fair, sounds fair. And how about you, Himanshu? What do you think?
So the biggest thing which I always, mention whenever the critical success factor is a passion. Passion in a way that if you are passionate about your own idea about the company, if the digital agency, as a matter of fact, any marketing outsource function is not passionate about as much as you are, I'm pretty sure he will not be able to push the idea to the audience. Why I'm saying this, because a lot of times we work with a client and we are passionate that, hey, I'm sold out on an idea. I will go to any extent to make sure that I'll market that product, because digital is a very, very subjective way. Okay, that what viral campaigns can only come out if you feel that brand can, go to next level. That is the one very important way, because I've seen a lot of companies taking up the project. I mean, and it's a dry run. Like, hey, I'm okay. Let's not never have a client-vendor relationship. As a matter of fact, whenever I speak to my clients, I eliminate the term agency. I would like to call it a digital partner rather than digital agency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it cannot work out any other way. Yeah.
Correct. That's one thing you
add here. Yes, sorry.
Go ahead, Manuj. Please go ahead.
So we have been generally talking about outsourcing in your local geography. There are other aspects to it. You can actually go outsource to people in other countries, because sometimes what we have seen from my experience, that the kind of skill and expertise and experience required may or may not be available in India and within the geography that you are in. So in that case, there is a whole lot of opportunities. You can actually hire the best of the best, and maybe a lot economically than the skill is available in India, and that too at relatively economically. And then the second thing that you can think of is, if you are actually targeting for geographical outsourcing, I mean cross-border or outsourcing, you should be aware of the RBI guidelines and all. And if it is a different geography, maybe a time zone difference also has to be looked at, because communication and coordination would become one of the challenges. Because if they are sleeping while you are awake, or vice versa, it will be a problem. Okay.
And in any case, digital marketers don't sleep. There's no sleeping out for digital marketers. 24/7 job we have.
So we generally, I mean, absolutely, that is correct. But we generally try to have an overlap of about 25 to 30% of the day, so that in
Sure.
case, yes, coordination can be done. And as from my own experience, we have been outsourcing to 12 countries, stuff from digital marketing perspective from GreyBox technologies. Uh, Other thing that we have to see is there is something called outsourcing and there is something called outtasking. Okay, the outsourcing is the larger perspective of the things. Outtasking is the smaller or day-to-day tasks kind of things. So maybe in case you are not very sure of the claims that a specific agency or a freelancer is making, you can start with outtasking and then maybe slightly over a period of time start growing the scope of the tasks and convert it into a big full-blown project.
Right.
That is another.
Right.
And other thing is, I think these are the critical factors I would say if you are actually involved in geographical cross-border outsourcing as well. And trust me, it works really fantastically well. And since you are actually trying to figure out which agency is the best, and we don't know, because this thing does not work on gut feeling, to be very honest. So you should be mentally prepared to lose some money in finding out the right agency, because you will be absolutely lucky to find the first guy who is absolutely the master of what you're looking for. That
right.
generally
That's always going to be very difficult.
Never happens. So things can go wrong in terms of you may end up losing money without getting the desired results that you're looking for, but that's just fine. That's how it works. But if you are able to get the right person, maybe the second, third, or fourth person, trust me, it can change the way things work in your digital marketing scenario.
So the agency should be the second, third, or fourth agency that a client comes to, not the first one.
I said you are
the first one. So the first one is always going to either lose the business or the client is going to lose the money. Yeah? So let the client burn their hands and money with one agency. Then you should probably push an agency first. That why don't you go ahead and pitch for this business? I'm coming in right after you.
No, but Manuj, there's actually been a successful story for us. Sorry, Himanshu, please carry on.
Yeah, Himanshu, please. Yeah.
So I would like to a little differ there, because a lot of times we have worked without being a PR of ourselves. We have worked with few companies who we were the first agency, and we end up working, and we're still working for last couple of years now. So as you rightly mentioned, maybe because digital with their help there, if you are able to set your goals and expectations categorically very clear, that hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve from this whole campaign. I want to get more brand awareness, I want to get more leads, I want to get more clicks to the website, whatever it could be. The moment you set that right, because I have seen a lot of times, because being a sales function, sometimes digital agency, you try to push whatever you get without setting up the goals right, because it's not one goal, right? It could be lead, it could be brand, it could be clicks, whatever it could be. The moment you set that right, okay, the expectation right, I really don't see a challenge there in terms of, being the first agency and being a successful. Sorry for that, but yeah.
No, I mean, that's just a matter of, you could be 10 times lucky, or you could be the first time lucky. It's just a matter of a lot of destiny and having the right knowledge for the right person at the right time. Absolutely. So I thought I might as well, tweet while we are chatting. So let me just, so you can also connect here and ask your questions right here, while I'm going to pick up the questions from right here. I just thought I might as well add it right here. So let me look at some questions before I carry on with what I was talking about. And let me see if I have something interesting. Okay, so one interesting thought from Kunjal is that, Prateek, you're way too loud. Please lower down your volume. So sure, Kunjal, I'll just do that. Mehraj, obviously you can just go ahead and ask a question. So Omkar has an interesting point to make, and Omkar says that I agree with the time required for digital marketing. A lot of my clients are in a hurry to get results and they don't know what they want. So Omkar, next time you talk to these clients, just send them to Digital Vidya. We will train them so well that they won't bother you for a long time to come. What might also happen, Omkar, in that case is that they might not need you after that. So don't actually do that maybe. Yeah, keep them with you. So Swarnam asks, what do you think about outsourcing logistics for a startup? So maybe Himanshu, you deal with, I believe, a lot of startups as well. So would you like to answer that in terms of when a startup is planning to outsource? So what all should it keep in mind and what all should be in place while trying to do that? And you can keep coming in with the questions on here and on Twitter. Yes, Himanshu, please go ahead.
So specific for a startup, I always believe that a startup has a budget constraint. That's the one thing that I hear day in, day out. Hey, I'm a startup, I'll pay more when I get funded. It's a bootstrap right now. The budget is the biggest constraint. So whenever we have a budget constraint, we need somebody who can, specifically focus on few platforms. Because when we start with outsourcing, we cannot focus on 6 or 7 different platforms. Okay, being a startup.
You can't say a startup.
Correct. So you figure out, hey, I need to focus on 2 different platforms, maybe Facebook, maybe Google, maybe content, whatever it is, and rest of the platforms is very secondary. And they should be buying from both the parties, because I have seen a lot of time when people say, the startups comes and say, hey, I want to do Google, and the agency doesn't have a competency in that specific area. And he'll try to push for a Facebook, for a Twitter or social. Maybe that platform is not meant for that specific business model. So they should be synced up in terms of what platform we are doing it, and agency should be a partner in terms of judiciously doing ad spend, not randomly going and spending on here and there.
Yes, I think a good strategy is the basic, ground from where you begin. And without that, I don't think you'll get anywhere. And even if you're doing something cross-function across Google, Facebook, SEA and SEO, everything, you can probably divide your budgets accordingly and make it work. Right. So, Manu sir, we have a special question for you. Omkar here wants to know what skills are necessary to actually get international clients. So while we are deviating just a little bit, but maybe you can throw some light on that.
Yes. So first of all, you have to be able to connect with those people, and you have to have some budgets to market your services. Second is skills is the topmost requirement, because skill is something on marketing side of things. Marketing skills are something which are required. And it has been seen that, from my personal perspective, I can be completely wrong, that we tend to be a little bit shy on projecting our skills when we're talking to people. Okay, so that should not be the case. You should be upfront. You should be, in fact, boasting sometimes what you are good at.
Absolutely,
okay?
absolutely.
Make in India. Yes. And then other thing is that connecting with the right people, and there are all sorts of people everywhere. So you have to understand, you being into digital marketing yourself, depending on which services you're trying to put in, you can actually go out to other platforms like maybe Upwork, Freelancer, Guru, or
absolutely.
Freelance, and all those sorts of platforms. You can enter into digital marketing, use the entire email marketing strategies to be able to connect with your potential target audience, nurture them over a period of time, and then connect with them. You can use LinkedIn as well if you are into B2B kind of a scenario. Connect with them. You can use Facebook and Twitter as well, because people are putting up queries on Twitter, 140 characters. You can identify those people.
Absolutely.
On Twitter as well. So it is again about reaching out to the people who require your services, and on top of that, they are feeling heard by their previous agencies. It is easier to convert from my perspective.
Just send a bad agency, make them pitch lower, and come in with the right price and right services. So it's a classic strategy.
It's much easier to convert a person who has been.
It's a classic advertising strategy. Send the client to creatives. One is a bad one is the okay one. So the okay naturally starts looking good when you send a bad one along with it. Wonderful. This is the main tip which people are going to take now. They'll get their friends along. Boss, why don't you also pitch? Okay. So along with that, so you mentioned freelancer, you mentioned LinkedIn. I would like to add Fiverr.com, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you add some more?
Of me? Is it directed to me?
Yeah. Just add, Himanshu and Manuj, can we add some more platforms for people where they can look for clients internationally? Maybe freelancers or consultants are also with us.
Elance.com, there's one more platform like that.
Elance, yes. I recently saw something called True. Yeah, sorry, Manuj. Yeah, please go.
Yeah. So, depending on which specialization you're offering, there may be different platforms. Maybe if you're into programming side of things, maybe Guru or Rent-A-Coder can be the right kind of opportunities. Or if you're into marketing side of the things, sorry.
Code Brahma is one more which you can.
Okay.
And then there are several hundreds of. So let me just share with you. What you can do is if you have identified one such platform, for example, Rent-A-Coder, okay, just go to Google and look for related Rent-A-Coder, and you will find all sorts of sites which will be similar to Rent-A-Coder. And if you have actually looked out at freelancer.com, again, go to Google and look for related freelancer.com. You'll come up with all sorts of possibilities where you can actually go and outsource.
Right.
If you're into content, if you're into content strategy, then there can be specialized content networks as well. For example, iWriter, for example, text. I'm just forgetting the name. It starts from text
you can also
something.
tweet it later so people can. No problem. No problem. And
so it totally depends on which services you're trying to push forward, and there can be several. And I have tried most of these because I've been through this journey, through this path. And sometimes you can find gem of people out there at a very, very economical cost with a very high level of specialization and skill. And you can be that next gem for somebody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Himanshu, you were also wanting to add any platforms to that?
I see for international client categorically, emailer works very, very well in terms of getting a lot of good results. Yeah. And the best piece is that geography differs, in terms of how the client interact. So when without a specific for international client, we cannot pick up the phone and call them. They will not really appreciate this fact. It's always good practice if I drop a mail to you that, hey, it's a good time to speak to you, and then maybe take the conversation forward. So email really works well for the international market. Please.
Right. Now, I personally, just the thing that both of you were saying is that I think digital marketing agencies themselves forget the part of digital marketing themselves. So yes, I think we all need to learn to market ourselves, and without doing that, you might get a client today and a client tomorrow, but if you don't market yourself for a period of time, then you won't create a pipeline, or you won't create the kind of influence which is required to attract other bigger clients in the future. So I personally look at blogging as a very important means to just tell the world that this is my expertise, boss, this is what I've done, these are my case studies. SlideShare personally has helped me a lot in attracting a lot of traffic and attracting a lot of just attention, I would probably say. LinkedIn publishing articles has just picked up big time. And I think combination of all these freelancers, Elancer, Fiverr, the coding things, and some people here on chat are also mentioning, I think digital marketing agencies need to get serious about marketing themselves. And then I think you don't need to make those cold calls eventually. So I just take up more questions. Lots of questions are coming in. Some on chat window as well.
One factor can I add here?
Yes, very quickly, because lots of questions coming in and lots of things to discuss. Please go ahead. Yeah.
I've seen that most people from our geography trying to undersell themselves, try to price and themselves at a very lower end of the spectrum. I would say, let's not do that, guys. If you're good at something, let's get your full worth of your time. And
absolutely, completely agree. So we have a question here from Bridge India. He says, what would be the least budgeting that can be suggested to start with? I know it depends on company to company, but still. So if I'm looking at outsourcing my services to a freelancer, to a consultant, or to an agency, what is the least amount of budget per month on a retainer basis, or should I go for a project? Quick thoughts in 10 seconds from both of you.
So there are two aspects to it. One is if you're actually trying to outsource it, there will be two components here. In fact, there may be more than two components here depending on the size of your company. One is the spend that you're going to actually give it to Google, or maybe third-party services, Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. And then there will be an agency component as well, which they will be managing their account, providing you service or consulting and execution services. So that will be that component as well. So minimum, of course, minimum and maximum are relative components that are totally subjective on maybe sometimes 5,000 can be a little bit too expensive for me, and for some companies even 5 crore would be a very basic minimal chunk change. Okay. So again, what I've seen from startups at very early stages, what I see is like maybe 15 to 20,000 or maybe 30 to 50,000 may be a good point to start, wherein there will be some amount which will be going to the agency who's managing it, and then there will be some component which will be given towards third-party fees.
Absolutely. Himanshu, your thoughts, quick thoughts, price range?
Price range, again, as Manuj mentioned, it is just how aggressive we want to go, as simple as that. It can start from
Right.
30,000 rupees, single 3 crore. It depends on how many campaigns you want to roll out, how aggressive you
Sure.
want to go, how many people you want to reach out to, what you're trying to achieve with the whole campaign. So this question is day in, day out asked to me, right? What is
Subjective.
it?
It's very subjective also, I think, from company to company. In fact, also
Correct.
region to region. If you're in a
Correct.
Delhi, Bombay, Gurgaon, then probably the pricing is different versus I mean, you know,
Bangalore,
other cities.
Chennai. Correct.
So there
Right,
can be
absolutely.
one thing which we can add
Yeah.
here, that we can do a bit of keyword research since we are a bunch of digital marketers.
Sure, digital
So
marketers, right.
if you can figure out the demand and the suggested bids, if you're talking about Facebook or if you're talking about SEM, maybe by understanding our goals and objectives, let us say if I'm targeting 10 leads per month and considering a 1% conversion from visitor to lead ratio, maybe we will be able to arrive at a certain budget, which will be more, you can say, data-driven rather than
I know, I agree. Absolutely. And my personal thoughts here are that, you know, especially when you're a startup, when probably you are trying to do your best to make your first buck or trying to look at the office rentals or probably salaries or probably some other things, I at one level also feel that even if you begin working with interns, it's not that bad an idea. And there are lots of websites like internshala.com 2019. I recently saw that Little Black Book Delhi has also started the internship section. And I think, you know, at times you'll also get good interns who would want to work for the experience rather than for the money. And even if you want to pay, or it's a good idea to also just pay, I think a basic sum of 3,000 to 5,000 rupees per month is also a good sum to begin with to just get somebody, you know, get doing things on the digital marketing front for you. And of course, from 2,000, it can easily go up to 2 lakh, 5 lakhs per month, 10 lakhs, depending on what kind of things you need to do. And, you know, so that's of course how it goes. I'll just look at quick questions from everywhere else. Sure. So we've got, I'll just look at the chat window here first. Very interesting point. So Mehraj Dubey asks, what I'm asking is that when your core business is digital communication, it's a tough decision on deciding on marketing outsourcing. You know, so if you yourself are into digital marketing, let's say for example, if both of you are here in digital marketing and if I want to outsource your blog writing, or if you want to do that, then how do you probably take a call? And then how would you critically decide on what to outsource and what to keep within?
Can I take this question?
Yes, and let's do it very quickly now because we are almost running out of time.
Sure, I'll try to be quicker. Okay. Now, we are into digital marketing consulting, and it was one hell of a challenge that we had to overcome because I knew, and my partner, my co-founder Rajiv knew that we are the best people around in the scenario, and we will do it the way which is the best way possible to do a certain task or to conduct a certain project. But it was one big challenge that we had to overcome. It was a mindset that we had to overcome over here before we started outsourcing. And yes, once you are able to start outsourcing, suddenly your growth becomes acceleration can come into your growth, and you can start growing much more rapidly. So it depends on first thing, what are your core skills? Start understanding what kind of tasks out of the core skills can be delegated to your subordinates, and then start outsourcing them. And no digital marketing company is complete in itself for all the kind of set of requirements which a customer may have.
Nobody, okay. Absolutely.
In that case, you can definitely add on those services through an outsourcing model, which will be essential for you to complete your core competencies correctly and efficiently.
Yes. Like for example, video marketing, I may not be able to do video marketing, but I could do social, but I could do blogging, but I could do community building, and then you need to, I think, outsource some of the other things. Any quick thoughts, Himanshu, here, or should I?
Yeah, so what we generally do is this, so we allocate a couple of people within the company who specifically work in terms of doing their own digital marketing. Like we have a couple of resources who only do the blog for Social Panga, who doesn't do a client blog, because obviously if writing for client, it's a lucrative business, you're getting paid for that. For Social Panga, not getting paid for that. But we took a very strict call that, hey, since we as an organization, we have employees know that what's the DNA of Social Panga is. So what we do is that two guys are categorically working, doing the marketing of Social Panga, whether it's design, whether it's content, whether it's backend, whatever it is, Google, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and all. So this way what happens is that, yeah, so these guys also dedicated to know that their client is Social Panga. No other
The client
people.
is social Panga, and this is not maybe rewarding right now in terms of money, but it is definitely going to be very rewarding
Correct, correct.
in SEO, social, and a lot of other aspects over time. Absolutely.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Quick. Let me just pick up some interesting questions. Wow, this is an interesting one. I'm probably this is a hilarious one as well. So Sheetal very rightly asks that if digital marketing is just few years old, how do profiles which asks for 10 plus years of experience in digital marketing exist? So to answer you, Sheetal, I'd like to tell you something that I saw on my LinkedIn profile. So one day somebody mentioned that I talked to a company who was looking for people with 15 plus years of experience in digital, and the reply that that guy gave to that corporate was that just go talk to Google's founders, and I think they'll be the only people who will fit into your scheme of hiring people with 15 plus years of experience. And it's just really strange. People look for experience of 10 plus years and 15 plus years, whereas this whole industry is what, say maybe the whole core digital marketing industry would be what, Manuj and Himanshu, 10 to 15 is what you're looking at in entirety.
Correct. But Prateek, I want to add something to here. So digital, the meaning of digital kept on changes over the time.
Changing.
I still
Right.
remember I was doing my engineering long back, 2004, and I was running my first startup, which was into tech business, which was into websites and all. At that time,
Sure.
that was digital.
Digital. That was digital.
That was no. There was no Facebook. There was no. There was no
Sure,
Facebook. There was
sure.
no Twitter and all. That time, that was
Sounds
digital.
right.
Right now, Facebook and Google or Twitter
Is
is digital.
largely the whole digital, right?
Correct,
And
correct.
I also personally feel that people also at times want to say that your experience in the corporate world should be maybe 15, maybe 10.
Correct.
But at
Correct.
times it turns out, or it feels like we're asking people with 10 years of Google or Facebook marketing experience, which practically just cannot exist.
Correct.
And I think there's a dearth of, frankly, I think there's a huge dearth of experienced individuals out there, and I think we all know that and face that, and we do this trainings.
No,
So we know that. Okay.
as a matter of fact, Prateek, last point here. So I still
Sure.
remember having a Gmail account in 2003 was a big thing.
Wow, yeah.
Like I was the only one in the college.
It was like the
I was
1 plus
only
2.
like 1+2. I still remember I was the only one in the college used to have a Gmail account, and everybody like please send me the invite, send me the invite. So that time it was digital, and right now
Right.
maybe 1+2 is digital.
1 plus 2, yeah, maybe tomorrow, people will say that, oh, you used to do Facebook. What Facebook? Now we only do mobile, and we only do the iWatches. Yeah, Apple Watch will be the one which we'll be working on. Okay. Some people have also mentioned other websites like GreyBox, 5 Squid, and Upwork.com. Thanks, Devendra, for that. Okay. Okay, Tejas. Point noted, sir. I'll not speak absolutely in between. Point noted, and 12 years max. Okay. Now let me look here. I think mybustickets.in with a very subtle plugin has asked us a question. What are your thoughts on growth hacking in the overall digital marketing strategies? Would any of you like to take this up?
Shall I?
Yeah, please, Himanshu.
Okay, so first we need to understand what exactly growth hacking is. Okay, there's a lot of time people misunderstand the concept of growth hacking. They believe that the moment they get into growth hacking, it means that from day one till within 10 days you are at the back of digital, you have your presence all over the place. So the concept of digital growth hacking as per is that you leverage your platforms in such a way that you maximize your reach. Okay, I'll give you a small example. Let's see that let's assume it as a food tech company, okay? So through a growth hacking, you can reach out to a lot of food bloggers who can write about yourself. So basically you're leveraging their power in terms of reaching out to right people. So your growth is 10x of what it is right now using their power, okay? As simple as that. So you don't rely on your own power, you use other people's power to reach out to as many people as possible. Okay, and since it is there in possible in all the platform, like tying up with right companies, tying up with right organizations where you can use a digital platform in terms of reaching the right people. As a matter of fact, Snapdeal have growth hacked themselves by acquiring free charge, if you put it that way.
Interesting.
So they have there to leverage all the users which are using free charge to bring them on their platform. That is a growth hack from that perspective. So the meaning of growth hack differs a lot from
the meaning is very probably right. It differs and it varies, and unfortunately, a lot of things in the digital space get jargonized and, just confuses people further. If you can just keep it simple and, cut to cut, say what it means, that will be much better. But yeah, then how will people make their money if they keep it simple? So that's all the questions that we have to look at. Okay.
My dear friend, you need to understand, last thing, we need to understand, Apple kept it very simple, and Apple is making a hell lot of money out there.
See, Apple added all the complexities to make their phone as they could, and then they kept their marketing really simple. And if you looked at the shot on iPhone 6 campaigns all around, I think that's one of the most beautiful campaigns that are being run in the country. I think that just works so well, so well. Brilliant. So I think, guys, we are out of time now. So I'll not be able to take up any more questions. I'll be very, very honest. We usually thought that this will be more like a half an hour, 40-minute session is what we were thinking. That after all, what all can we discuss? But I think when marketers come down to discussing, we can just go on and on. Without fail, we can just come up with all the things in the world. So on that note, thank you so much, Manuj. Thank you so much, Himanshu. And thanks to everybody else who joined in today. And the tweets tell me that it was a good session. You could have bashed me up with the tweets as well, but I was just a little scared when looking at the tweets, but it seems to be okay. So it seems that you all received your bribes, and you will receive your Flipkart gifts and Snapdeal gift vouchers soon enough for tweeting all those good things. And so Digital Vidya, we are trying these new formats. There's a tweet chat, there's a channel discussion, there are the regular webinars is what is happening. And yeah, that's actually about it. I think there is one poll that I probably need to launch, and if you can all just fill up this poll, you might be able to see something on your screens. If you can just fill this up quickly, then I'll shut this screen. And in the meantime, if you have any last maybe thoughts or questions. So Omkar says go for Periscope next. Okay, so we have a social media team of which I am also part, so probably we can do something around Periscope. Thanks Pallavi, glad you liked the session, and thanks for the smileys and laughter, ha-ha-has. Everybody helps in knowing that it's going fine. And I think we are almost done with the poll. There's some people left. If you could quickly answer, guys, and I'll just close this poll. Wait, okay, so Devendra, don't worry, not going anywhere. Thank you, Brijesh. Yeah, Devendra, one last question for you, since you gave us some extra tips. So one last question for you, and I'm closing this poll now in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And that's okay. So Devendra, quickly, I want to do internship. So Devendra, you can connect with Digital Vidya. Just mail to us, find the contact details. Probably we can. So Devendra, I think the CDMM questions, you can probably take that up internally with any of our team coordinators. Really, I mean, we may skip that right now. I hope that will be okay. Anybody else? Any last questions? Any last thoughts? Manuj or Himanshu, your experience and your last final tips to people in half a minute each.
So I think outsourcing can be taken as part of growth hacking, and it can, done right, it can put you on a very accelerated growth path. So that is one perspective I have.
I just want to say that don't worry too much, just outsource and have fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. And until next time, guys, this is good day, good night, and I don't know, whatever, some other part of the day from Prateek Shah, and see you in another episode of DV panel discussion. Until that time, see you, tata, ciao, and bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See ya.